Welcome back to another TSTerra video. Today's video is completely different than normal, as I'm kicking off a new series where I interview players in the community. This video is like a podcast, so sit back and enjoy. Alright, so welcome to Tera Interviews. Today I am here with Hank, and we're gonna talk to Hank and get some cool advice, ideas, and just see how this goes. So, Hank, for the start, what is your main character name and the server that you play on?
So my main character's name is Siri. It is pronounced Siri. It is Siri with a P. So it's a little weird. I'm on Xbox Terra. NA.
Cool. And what is the name that most people on the server would know you by?
Hank. So I started as my Lancer um named Hank and pretty much named after me.
Very cool. Now, did you pick Lancer for any particular reason to start?
Yeah, I played Lancer um back in PC. Uh, let's say it's been over 10 years. It's been a long time ago. PC founder. And I fell in love with the class. I love the whole tank aspect. Um, and I just like the way that you can actually be a tank instead of being really squishy, holding aggro um, but I transitioned to the gunner.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I love tanking over everything. It's like you're dancing with the boss.
Hmm.
You know.
Oh
Um.
yeah.
Alright, so you mentioned that you started on Terra PC. That's actually really cool. I didn't know a lot of, I've known some people to start there, then come to console. Does that mean you started at the very first patch of console, or did you come a bit later?
So for Terra Console, I actually started in the tech test, um, and then it was open beta 1, and then open beta 2, and then release for console.
Wow. Okay, cool. So you've been playing console from like the very start. How was the tech test and stuff? What was that like?
So the tech test, uh, it was very glitchy. Um, it was I didn't think it was gonna be uh, playable. I, I didn't think that they were gonna move forward with that type of, but it was very glitchy, and it seemed like the servers couldn't handle the players that were you know logging in for the tech test. Um, we couldn't move for like the first 20 minutes loading into Stepstone Isle. Um, we were literally one massive clunk of just pixeled NPCs just in one area, just spinning in place, couldn't move for 20 minutes. So that was fun.
No, that's tech tests always have bugs. I think I did one for like Years of War back in the day, and it was wonky. But hearing that explains why we might have some bugs always. But at
Yeah.
least we can move.
Well, the very first person, I forget who it was, but they were able to like break the chains that kept you spinning in place, and they were able to move a little bit forward, and then everyone saw them like, oh my goodness, they're typing, and then all of a sudden they disconnected. So, so yeah,
Oh, that's great.
it was pretty crazy. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you were originally a Lancer and now you've been playing Gunner. Would you consider Gunner to be your main class, or would you still consider Lancer to be technically your main?
So my main is my gunner. Um, It's weird. Um, my Lancer and my Gunner, to me, it's hard to separate them two. It's like saying, it's like asking me which one do I love more, my wife or my son. You know, it's they both have a tremendous part, uh, and why I play Terra.
Hmm.
Um, but if I had to log on to one first, it's my Gunner nowadays.
Gotcha. All right. So then, and I guess you can answer this for realistically whatever class you want, but something you miss about Gunner or Lancer or any of the classes, is there something particularly that you used to love about the class that's been removed, or something you just in generally miss about the class?
Well, there are a lot of things that um, that I miss about the classes.
Mhm.
Um, in particular, I guess I miss what we've never had about those classes. The way they performed on other platforms, or the way they performed on PC.
Mm.
I had the chance to experience some of that, and I miss what console never had. Um, I also miss ideas that they begin to work on with these classes. Like,
Mhm.
for example, like the I can't quite think of the name of it, but it's the way you can modify the glyphs, certain ability, certain glyphs can be modified to act a certain way, like the difference in Iron Worlds on the Lancer.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Yes, it's the
I
it's where you
can't
could
quite think of it.
pick like a glyph tree, right? Like I believe Brawler's Power Driver has it where you can set it to
Right.
be the other skill for like Meat Grinder for PvP,
Yeah.
and it's that like three system.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's what I kind of miss. You know, wanting more of that to kind of augment your class so that it can play a specific way.
Okay.
But that's pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Is there something you would want added to these classes, or something you wish they would look into adding more of? Um, Maybe
Um,
something added in the future.
I just wish that they would provide more quality of life for a lot of these classes. To work on the quality of life, and then work on the balancing. Um, some of the classes kind of feel like they're in a weird spot. Um, like you have like the Slayers, or you have the Warriors. Warriors can be tanks or DPS, and then I saw like there was polls on Twitter that pretty much asked where what would we want the warrior to be. So I want them to add more quality of life to these classes so that the player can determine that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel that having more quality of life. I think having more. You mentioned class balance, and I
Yeah,
wish they'd spend more time to really look at how to make. You can't have every class equalized in a sense. Like, sure,
yeah,
not every DPS should be locked behind 25 mil, because then, I would
yeah,
say within like 20 to 30 mil would be kind of nice. You're still going to have a meta, but, not
yep,
everyone's going to be that OP hitting 30 mil, but
yep,
not every class is going to be like Slayers hitting, what is it? A lot of Slayers, I think, are barely breaking 20 mil in the crab. And that says something. Like, sure, if you buff them to 25 mil, then the guys currently hitting like 22 might be hitting 30. But that
yeah,
seems fair because they know what they're doing on the class.
exactly.
So you just want added class balance, which I think it's something that's needed. I've been trying to set some stuff up and talk to as many people, and I know for Zerks, like, it's crazy. Zerk's burst right now is what, 80 something mil, but their sustain isn't even 20. And
it's insane.
the Zerks have a passive that, says their attack, I think it's Cyclone or something, does more damage from the front. Their passive literally is like, yeah, it's from when they used to be
insane.
Back when they used to have Zerk tanks as a potential thing, and they have never gotten rid of that passive. They have never adjusted it. They've just left it in the game, and Zerks are like, can we have this so it just gives us crit from behind? Like, that's all we need. If our skill could have a bit more crit from the behind, we could add a little power and we'll sit like decently. And it's just like, no, you can keep this, sitting at the front passive that's only on Zerk. Like, I know a lot of classes have head on. It's not that. It's something specifically for Zerks and their Cyclone or one of their skills to do more damage or something. It's like,
yeah,
but why?
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, a class like the Zerg has an amazing burst. I mean, it's almost unrivaled in burn, and it's like, in order to balance that, you have to give other classes a chance. Like, another thing that's a big issue in this game is ping. That can significantly lower your DPS. So it's like, if you have a Zerk, they're a little bit more forgiving. But if you have something like an Archer with bad ping, it's over. You're not going to really do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's actually funny. Even Zerks, if you have bad ping and Unleash, you're not hitting that 80 mil. Like, there are Zerks that can hit 60 to 80 mil easy in Unleash, and then there are Zerks with 300 ping, and I had a few people show me the difference and over exaggerated, like, the actual speed difference, and I'm like, wow, okay. So yeah, I would love if console could add some proxy server.
Yeah. Either that, or, I mean, they've been doing a lot of work, on certain things and aspects of the game, and I just hope that they can continue to build onto what we currently have. Um, Quality of life, balancing, putting another data center. That would make this game so much more better, and it would turn it into the Terra that we love. So.
That would be fantastic. At least for the NA side, having a data center on the East Coast. I can't speak
God.
for
Even in the Midwest. If you put one in, like, dead center of the country, that helps everyone.
Yeah. But we'll see. So did you start as a PvE or a PvP player?
So I started as a PvEer, and I continue to be a PvEer. I only PvP every now and then, just to try to feel like I'm doing something. Oh, I get beat up all the time. But when so on my Lancer, when I was I want to say like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, we used to go in the fray one, and I used to be unkillable, but I wasn't killing anyone. They just couldn't kill me. So it would be, I don't know, 10 of them wailing on me, and it'd just be me and one healer couldn't kill me. Nowadays, things are much different. So there's some fantastic PvPers out there. For those who PvP, kudos. I tip my hat to you. It is very tough for me, but I can go into a dungeon and do some things and work some magic.
Very nice. So now, what are your thoughts on starting the game? If you had to start as a new player, what are some things you think would interest new players? What are some things you think could just freak out new players? And you know,
Um, being a new player in Terra is difficult because Terra, it tailors to the new player, but it kind of they tailor the game to the new player, but it's with limitations. So they do have like uh, bonuses and incentives to reach a level 65, and they do give you some pretty cool things. But as a new player, you think that your journey in the game is to get to 65. That is the easy part. That's like the tutorial. The game actually starts at 65. So when the player has to get to the end game, which is doing all the dungeons at 65, it's harder to do, regardless of what they give you at 65. So it can be a little bit intimidating for a newer player because I think that newer players look at the gold values and say, I need to be rich. Um, but you got to learn the dungeons. So I think what they need to do for newer players, and my advice for newer players, is to learn your class and know the dungeon. If
hmm,
you can do those two things, everything else comes into play. Now it's hard to make gold in the game. It takes a lot. If you're gonna make gold, it takes a very long time. And Terra is one of those games that it kind of speaks to the real life philosophy of it takes money to make money. Um, so if you want to make boatloads of money, you have to spend some money and gamble, and some things you can do direct buys and sell it on the trade broker and whatnot to make money. But the greatest reward the game can ever, or that you can ever have in the game, is to master the dungeons. It doesn't matter your item level. It doesn't matter any of that stuff. If you're able to understand your class a billion percent, um, be willing to accept advice from the higher end veteran players that aren't going to like troll you or whatnot, you'll be you'll be amazing. Um, so it's just tough being a new player, not having any knowledge of the game, and then you start investing your resources into the wrong thing and your time into the wrong things. You're wasting time.
yeah, yeah. No, I can see that. I can agree with a lot of that because even heck, even when I started playing, I had my Sork, and I had some of the dumbest rolls on my Sork, being like increased healing effects to yourself. Because I was like, I'm not gonna play with a priest or a mystic. I'm only playing by myself. Doesn't work like that when you get into 65 dungeons.
Yeah, it's different. And the dungeons on the way to 65 can be a little misleading. Like you think that that's what the
Definitely.
dungeons at 65 are going to be like. You know, it's nothing like that at all.
Yeah. So now, do you think they should I think they should ever change how leveling to 65 works. Because, like, I gotta say, one thing I dislike is not being able to help someone level to 65 anymore. Back when
Exactly.
do you
Exactly.
think new players could? I mean, I guess here's a better question. How many new players do you think nowadays make it to 65 even and consider continue playing? Or how many of them do you think just quit before they even get to 65?
Um, I think over the course of the time Terra has been out on console, I think a lot of players, more than currently play, didn't reach 65 and quit. Um, they get wrapped up into the toxicity sometimes that they see other people saying, in the global chat or whatever, and some people just sit there and type away. Um, um, in terms of nowadays, I think that a lot of players don't make it to 65. Um, And I think one way to fix that would be to you would kind of have to like redo how we do dungeons. And if they were to introduce like bashing the lock hard mode or whatever, well, let's just say not even a hard mode or a hard variant of that, but if there was a mentoring system to where if I drop down to level 20 to go to bashing the lock, my gear, I could take everything in there, but the dungeon is still going to be challenging to me. And the incentive for me to do it would be credits or some type of something that I can use in game while helping that new player out. I'm not carrying new player. I'm therefore taking them through so they can see the mechanics as well as me having to do them. Um, that's
Yeah.
another thing that hurts the new players is carrying. You know, when you have um, in-game players that take them into dungeons and they clear the dungeon for them, but they never learned it. You know, so it's a tough fix. I think it would have to be a lot of changes to the end game scene to fix their beginning or early game scene, if that makes sense.
You know, that's actually funny. You mentioned. I like the idea that you gave. That's actually something I think hopefully they actually can look into trying to do. It would take a lot, but I, I don't know. Have you ever played other MMOs besides Terra? Have you
Yes,
looked?
many of them. Yes.
Have you ever played Final Fantasy?
I played Final Fantasy 11 and I played Final Fantasy 14. 14 actually has a mentoring system in there.
It does. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
tried it a while back for the first time. And I had a friend who was like level 70. He was decked out. He does like score runs or something on there. And I was like, yo, you're actually able to help me run content though? Like, you're not just one shotting
Yeah.
everything. And he's like, no, because when I join your dungeon, it actually equalizes me and turns my character as a whatever level you basically are, or it equalizes them down to that level of that dungeon. It
Yep.
only gives him the skills that he would have unlocked at that dungeon, and it basically equalizes everyone that anyone can help do it. The only thing is, I don't think there's a reward for them in FF14. If there is, he didn't tell me what it was. But that would be a really cool concept if that gave us, let's say, a new token shop. Let's say that gave us, a premium currency or some currency, not Terracoin, not like a premium currency, but like gave us a new mentoring currency that we can exchange for like, Sigma feedstock, Sigma stat changing
Yeah.
stones, mounts. Like that would actually be that'd be a really cool concept. And then
Yeah, and they could change the shop every season, to give players the incentive to
to,
doing it. So like for example, like say if we were to help out new players and we got a currency, it could be the same name for all we care, right?
yeah,
But that shop for this season, the big thing right now for us is um, bashing stuff with stats on it. So you open up the shop and you can go ahead and get that stuff. The next season, they may have mounts in there. Or the season after that, they may have stigma stuff. Or who knows? Um, but the incentive must be there.
yeah. No, that's a really cool concept. I like that. That would be really neat to see implemented. Hopefully they consider that. It would take a lot of work, but I think it's something
Yeah.
that could be definitely doable. And I've always been trying to think of how can they make incentive to help new players. Even I was saying for people when they hit 65, when they first made Ravenous Gorge lately, 10,000k gold. If you instance matchmake, I was like, that's incentive for me to go match it. The only thing that sucks is I still want to do my major dungeons for my materials because I don't need gold. I need my
Yeah.
mats. Sure, I need some gold, but I was like, what else is my incentive? Like once I complete 15 runs, I could do 1 RG and then I'm screwed. Like, so that's where I
Yeah.
was like, I'd like them to upgrade Vanguards a bit, but that's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, and I think that that would be something great, a nice refresh to the Vanguards. I see they tried to do that with the Federation, the Valkyrian Federation coins, but it's still more the same. Um,
Yeah,
so
it's you want your Kaya's brooch, run 2 sets of Bahar, run a set of VS,
yeah,
I
yeah,
like the gold increase is lovely, but I think
yeah,
they need to give those lower tier dungeons a reason for endgame players to help, more reason for us to go into them and want to help the people that just hit 65 too.
yeah.
But
And I
so
also think that they should, for the new players, I think they should um, change the way the training ground is working. So, for example, you should be able to go into the training ground, let's say, and select your boss. And it's the bosses that are currently in the game, and they attack you. You can see all of the boss's attack patterns. And for the one-shot mechanics that the boss does, it just takes your health down to 1, and then the boss disappears, and then you just restart the training ground. Um, that helps people to understand dungeon mechanics before they go in there, or the way a boss behaves or whatever. Um, the
that's
training ground should be just that, the training ground.
yeah, that's a cool concept too.
Yeah.
That reminds me of or not Division, Destiny 2 practice raids, where
Yep.
you could go into the raid, you can practice certain parts, and if you complete it, you don't get rewards because it's easier. You don't have a way to fail it. You don't have a way to really. I never did it, but it was like something along the lines like you wouldn't really die. You didn't have a way to fail. Like if mechs didn't happen, you could keep practicing. And yeah,
Hmm.
that would be cool if Tera could, because I know someone was suggesting let us have unlimited runs in Terra, but after you complete your 3 runs of Bahar, you don't get any more materials. But this way, you could take someone who's like a low item level in to practice the mechs, because now you're not capped on runs, you're just capped on resources. And I was like,
Yeah.
it's kind of a cool concept, but I still don't think people would necessarily do that because why
No
am
one's gonna
I
help unless they have an incentive.
exactly? And that's kind of where I was like, well, what's the incentive to helping someone? Which where now you're suggesting if they put the boss, like you could go in and see Bahar in the training ground. The only thing is they would have to probably tweak, like, how do you have a regression mech work in there? Would be my question. Because
Um,
obviously,
yeah, that would be tough.
but I mean, they could code around it, or they could just make that mech maybe not happen, and you could see
Yeah.
most of like the basic mechs and get used to certain things for sure.
Yeah,
But
or and that's a great point. Like you would at least get the basics down. Like you would know the direction of the slides, like the front smash to which side is going to be the slide, and the back attack, and
yeah,
one piece combo. You would at least see that stuff. But
for
yeah.
sure. Okay, so what is something you really liked from when you started the game? This can be events, a dungeon you miss. From any time of you playing Terra, what is something that you really, really, really loved and enjoyed that's basically not here anymore?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because I can't hone in on just one thing. There's tons. But if I had to hone in on one thing that Terra used to do is they would get you so wrapped up into their game through the story that took you through the dungeons. Um the quests that took you through the dungeons. And the dailies that were you had to do your daily dungeon quests. Um those things, the daytime Island of Dawn, um, those are the things that I kind of miss about Terra. I miss when being in the guild meant something, you know.
Okay.
For console, it just seems like it's a roster of names of friends that you may or may not know. That's literally it. And then if you are in a higher one, you got more of, more useless things activated in terms of like guild buffs. But you can be level 50 guild and have all the guild buffs you need, you know what I mean? So um, I just miss having that sense of that urge to log in again every single day and not want to log off because of how eventful and alive the world felt. That's what I
Okay.
miss.
So you wish there was more things to do in basically the world of Aboria. You wish when
Oh
you
yeah,
logged on there was, not just dungeon runs going, not just PvP maybe popping, but actual things to like go and do. Almost if they added, maybe not necessarily more bounty hunter missions and Guardian Legion missions, but
yeah.
a higher incentive to do those and add more things like that almost.
Absolutely.
So,
Like, make the players come together for stuff. Make the players work together for stuff. For example, there was something that PC had called civil unrest. You know, you can tweak that if you made it to where, let's say, the monsters start to attack High Watch. We got to repel them. If we fail as all the players in Terra, it damages the economy. Now, the NPCs now they charge higher rates on all of that stuff. The trade broker taxes more, for selling stuff for that day. And then the next day, they're going to attack again. And they're going to keep attacking until we can repel them. And if we repel them, then we can go to their stronghold and attack their stronghold. And if we win, the incentives are based off of where you are in the end game scene. Or, it could be currencies, it can be gold, it can be uh, cosmetic system. The possibilities are endless, but they got to keep me in the game, and they got to help the players to work together on more stuff. Bounty hunts, that's really not players working together because I'm working against every other player so I can get more boxes than they do so I can finish.
yeah. Bounties and
So,
guardians are kind
yep,
of, you want a lot of people there so you can hit the hardest and get your boxes done. So you're like, all right, I've done it. I'm done for the day.
yep,
That's a cool, and that's the concept I think you were talking to me about a long time ago. I want to say you mentioned
yeah.
an idea that, you know, an area was getting attacked and we'd have to repel the enemies, and that I like that. I really, I'm glad you brought that up because that would be such a cool thing, you know,
Yep.
to do in the game. It would give
We can
everyone
gain reputations for those areas. Like if it's Tour, make a new reputation system. Every time we repel enemy forces in Tour, we build trust through those areas, and then make that mean something. Open up a new gear shop or cosmetic shop that is unique to that area. Just make it mean something. It has to mean something, and it has to bring the players together. Um, that's what PVE is, you know.
Yeah, well, that sounds. I don't know if you ever played Warframe.
A
Um,
little bit, yeah,
Little. There is alert missions. They happen
yeah,
every so often. That when the global universe goes in and destroys enough of these specific missions, you unlock the Fomorian mission, and basically, Xbox learned the hard way. They refixed it so because Xbox, I believe it was Xbox that learned the hard way. that they just didn't complete the mission, and the whole relay. A relay is where you can you don't trade back then. But like you would go to the relay to see your syndicates, to buy stuff from your syndicates, to see Baro Katir, who you get very special stuff from at the time. And you could just do all sorts of stuff in the relay. Well, Xbox didn't complete the mission, and you had like a week, and the relay was destroyed. Goodbye, no more. And that was kind of like, on Tera, imagine going in and, imagine everyone who loves Erping and Highwatch, it just being, oh, well, you guys didn't complete this today, so, like, no more Highwatch, get out. And Highwatch is just destroyed, maybe not for eternity,
and you
but
can't
maybe...
teleport there. You gotta wait till it's repaired again. Like, they take the Highwatch teleporter out, so then you'd have to teleport to a module and then fly to Highwatch, just make the players pay for that part. Like, they didn't, you didn't repel the forces,
Yeah, that'd be a really cool concept. I think a lot of people, especially again, as I think is a returning theme and something hopefully the devs pick up on, is that the game needs incentive, right? Like, because here's the worst thing. I could see them making this cool event, doing this thing, and I can see the incentive being, well, here's 5 gold. Well, no one's going to care about Highwatch. I mean, maybe Highwatch. I shouldn't say that. People will probably care because it's Highwatch. But, right. Let's say they're attacking Elementia. How many people really go and hang out in Elementia? And anyone who does, I'm sorry. Elementia is great. But, I can see eventually... Yeah, I can unfortunately see people being like, oh, it's Elementia. It'll be fixed eventually,
Yeah.
But like you said, let's say that's another way that we could, I don't know, get 2.5 mounts. It might take 4 months of grind to do so. But, I could see people, if a currency like that opened up for something, costumes even, people would do it for costumes. I'm not a fashion freak, but God, there are so many people that love their fashion on this game that if they added some really cool cosmetics in that, I'm sure people would 100% be willing to
Oh yeah, and I'd be one of them. It's just if they were able to just make things that currently are in the game, that's been in the game for a long time and meant something back then, but it doesn't mean anything now. They have to kind of like revamp those things, or rework those things. They're kind of slowly but surely doing so. And I guess me as a long-time player, I get impatient because I know, and what this game can be. We've seen it at great points. They're doing pretty decent now, but we know it could be better. So it's like, that's like getting a Lamborghini and only going 60 miles an hour in it, and you can't go any faster, but it could and it should be, but the car is not letting you go over 60. You're like, what the hell? So it's all right now. But it's, the game has so much potential, and I think that's what us as players, whether new or existing long-term players, see, and that's what we want more. So yeah.
No, for sure. Is there something you want to see added in the future? Is there something that you think the devs should, right now, within 3 patches, add to the game? Realistically, in 3-4 patches, like something that you're like 100% this needs to be in the game.
The answer that I give is not the only, but just to give one answer, I mean, it's such a broad, it's so many things that they need to add into the game.
No, I feel that.
But I would say They have to add a different way of going about the way Endgame is ran. They just have to change that up a little bit. I don't know. I guess I touched on it before, a little bit, but it starts with incentives. You know,
Hmm.
they have to add the incentive for us to log in every day, not just for a moment to where we get our 3 Bahar runs and log off. You got to make me want to log onto this game and not log out.
Hmm.
Um, but let me walk it back. If they're to add anything to this game, add support, known support to the game. I'm talking about talk to the players. If you talk to us, then 9 times out of 10, things can go better. Just keeping the players in the know. I can't give you one thing that they need to add specifically because there's many, and you know that. But they need to add their presence to the game and show that they are here to listen to us as players, as people who play every day, who spend their money on it, who don't spend their money on it, that spend their time on it. Um, they just need to show their presence. Um, but the list goes on of things that they need to add to the game. I can think off of the top of the head 20 different things right now. But to keep it short, they just need to show their presence.
I like that. I really like that because that's one thing. I was going to release a video that was very, very emotional, and I decided to not release it. But one thing I stated in that video was, support not being as active, and I understand they're probably very, very busy. But if they had a way to communicate with us in game a bit better, um, I know you reached out, I reached out. I'm
Yeah.
sure more people reached out with this happened a while back, but the whole Stormcry boxes being, X amount of
Oh yeah.
gold, and if they were just a bit more available, a bit more in the game with us, that's something that it wouldn't have taken
A
4
whole weekend.
days to be fixed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
In which,
I,
some folks still find a way around, keeping their spoils and more power to them. But, it's just like if they want us to feel heard, appreciated, um, involved, well, they have to be there to hear us,
mhm,
be there to appreciate us, and be there to involve us. Um, I think that if anything, I think they need to bring some type of um, player council back to the game. That's going to be in direct contact with developers or a QA team or whomever, publishers, somebody that can hear us. If the players know that they're being heard, the game will grow. That's probably one of the purest forms of marketing. Players.
yeah, definitely. Especially if you have, in-game players too who can help, because there's no reason that you can't recruit in-game players who I would do it for free. I might,
Exactly.
put some videos out there on it answering questions. Why not? But I would 100% test things for free. I have like a
Oh yeah.
huge love for this game that honestly I'm already for other people testing their games, doing stuff for other games, and they're not paying me. It's just because they're cool with me helping out, and when stuff gets released, I can make content on it, and I'm excited for that, for me and for anyone a part of that um
Yeah.
giving feedback on any level is always good. Not that you have to always listen to all the feedback, because, for a perfect instance with the Reaper nerf, so many Reapers were freaking out, and even myself, I was like, I think this is too much. But in the end, they didn't listen to that feedback. They made the change, and I'm not going to say Reapers are in a terrible spot. I think they're in a lower spot than what they should be. But
Yeah.
I think also people need to learn to adjust and play the class the proper way now, and not sit off to the side of the boss.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's the way it's intended. It was never intended to be a side critting DPS. No DPS is ever intended for that. But again, I think, as you stated, having people in the game test stuff, answering people. I know I try my best to go on Twitter and answer people's questions for the devs the best that I can.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they like me doing that. I don't know if they hate it, whatever, if they don't like it, they can tell me. But, when people are going on there and they're like, oh, do this, do this, do this. And it's like, someone was talking about Outlaw System. Bring the Outlaw System back. Whoever turned it off is a terrible developer. And I'm like, dude, Outlaw's been turned off since, before I was playing a game. It's a completely different set of devs. Don't be that way to them. But at the same point, I was like, it would be a cool system to have back. And he was like, oh, they probably won't turn it back on or whatever. I'm like, well, what if they make an area that's Outlaw only? Let's say they open up Baldera, and that can be a whole PvP Outlaw section. And, it's like stuff like that I'm trying to just, talk to people, get myself out there, so that, and this is what the devs should be doing too, or have a bunch of players do it, because plenty of people will do it for no reason that love the game, and it's just, but it's hard for us to talk for people who don't want to open up to us.
Yeah, and that team needs to realize that they have a massive amount of people who actually do care for the game. And I think a lot of those players go about it a different way. Whether they go and troll, or they just go into outrage and they go on the conspiracy wagon, or they still put out content and they just hope the developers can see them, just like you. You put out the content. If Crafton, Bluehole, if y'all see this, TSTerra, look at this guy. Give him a chance. He definitely puts out the content week in, week out. And he tries to support the game as much as he can, along with the rest of us. Like, I don't make content. I just clear the content. This guy makes the content and clears the content. So you got people who try and they go above and beyond for the game because they like the game. They love the game. But us as players, we have the right to be angry when we show our love, but nothing is being shown back. So just show us that we matter. And that's all we ask for.
Yeah, and it's little things too. It's not even like it has to be ridiculous. We're not saying give everyone a 2.5 mount. No, just hear our words, talk to us, create that relationship.
For, special privileges in the game, and no one's asking for that. They're just asking to listen. When there's a problem, they bring it to you. When there's suggestions and ideas for a better future of the game, they'll bring those to you. But when you don't even provide an avenue for them to speak to you, that's like having your mouth taped shut. So kind of sucks.
It does. Hopefully support's just on break though. I don't know.
We can all hope.
That was perfect for a while. Support was on point, and now, well, hopefully it'll be back. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, and hopefully when they come back, they bring some good goodies with them. So
Right. All right. So, is there anything? I have basically covered all my questions. Do you want to add anything? Is there anything you want to add or say?
The thing I want to add is TSTerra to continue doing what you're doing, bro. You're doing a fantastic job, and to inspire all the other, guys and gals out there that has the same love or somewhere near the love for Terra like this guy does. Just continue to do what you're doing. I would hate to see the game go down. I don't think it's anywhere close to that, but that bridge starts to peel away and starts to crumble when key pieces of people who love the game leave the game. And they don't want that to start to become a factor. So, just TSTerra, just keep doing what you're doing, bro. Banfi, you're doing a fantastic job, and I hope more people, hey man, smash them likes and subs on his YouTube and everything.
Damn,
he's doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, we will do. Trying to step up the game. Quite a few things in the work. I don't know when certain things are getting released to others, but yeah, we should be having a lot of fun stuff coming out on the channel shortly, and like I said, I appreciate the words. They mean a lot to me, and it encourages me to do more, to do the best I can. Every comment that I always get encourages me. What can I do next? And when I'm not able to do something, it kills me a little inside. But things happen. Life gets difficult at times. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But that just drives me to do the next thing I do even better. To get that content out for people. And as of right now, it stands, I have no reason to leave Terra console until given. And till given means they're like, we're done, we're not doing anything for this game, then I'll leave.
Yeah.
But I love this game way too much. I've tried to go back to Warframe, but the combat of console or Terra is just, it's unmatchable.
Too much love when it comes to the combat.
It's
too much to love. But everybody just continue to watch what this guy is doing, man. Like, he's doing a fantastic job, and hey, come to fall time, maybe he'll have some breaking news on this channel, but you only know if you're watching him. So
we'll see.
Keep in tune with him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But, all right, Hank.
Tera, much love to you, bro, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Of course. So
I see you in the Borea, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, you have a good one, Hank, and thank you for coming out. Much support and love to you as well. And yeah, hopefully we'll see. Maybe there'll be some cool changes coming soon.
Yep, I see you there, bro.
Yep. And thus concludes the video. If you made it this far, thank you so much. You're amazing. I also want to give a huge shout out to Hank for coming on and doing this. I've also really enjoyed doing all the interviews I've done so far. We got some cool stuff coming up. If there's anyone you want interviewed, let me know in the comments section. I'll do the best I can do. That's about it. Hope to see you in Aboria, gamers.